Hi everyone! So this is our last video for the year.
I cannot believe 2021 is already ending. We have some amazing content lined up for the next year. But before that, it's time to reflect on the year that's been.
And as we prepare to jump into the new year, we're going to talk about 3 things to reflect on and 3 things to look at before we jump into 2022.
So let's dive right in.
So as you guys know, we've gone on and on about this all of last year. First, to figure out how to plan your financial goals, assessing your liquidity requirement, figuring out your risk tolerance, and then choosing the appropriate investment vehicle for yourself. But now that you've done all of this, then what? It's time to consider reassessing and realigning.
Like I love saying, things change, people change, and circumstances change. So you have to be ready for this change. So it's very important to reflect back on the year that's been, figure out where you have been, where you are, and where you want to be in the next year. Only then can you figure out where you need adjustments in your financial plan. Okay, so before we get into it, how we do that exactly, why don't you like and share this video and subscribe to our channel, because we have some amazing new different content coming up for you starting next week.
So let's look at the first thing on the agenda to reflect on. Did you have any financial goals this year? If yes, did you stick to them? Did you achieve them? Like Sayali said, things change. This has primarily got to do with financial goals in our case. Now let's look at the goals that you set out to achieve. Have you achieved these goals? Have the goals changed? Are they the same or have they changed from before? Is the timeline on these goals still the same or has that changed? Are you still in line with achieving them? So let me give you guys an example. A friend of mine had set out all her financial goals last year. Her goal was to buy a car in 3 years and a home in 7. But then along the way, she decided to get married. And then she had to also take care of her dependent parents. Because of this, she had to push her goals by a year while adjusting to married life and also thinking about starting to plan a family. So your circumstances and financial goals always go hand in hand. So reflect on what has changed for you this year and then decide if your goals need to be readjusted.
And now this brings us to the things that you need to keep in mind as you jump into the new year. That's setting up new financial goals. As you start answering the questions set by Niyati, you yourself will realize what financial goals you have set for yourself. All you need to do is work towards achieving them in the next year. Also, think about some long-term goals that you had set out for yourself, but you may want to realize them in the next year. You have to shuffle some investments around for that. So better start planning right now.
Next up on the reflection list, did you avail all the tax benefits that you could? There are a lot of tax benefits that you can avail through the financial year to minimize your tax burden and maximize the tax planning. Now you need to know which of these benefits are really applicable to you. Do you know them? If not, why don't you guys check out our video on tax planning?
On that note, you can look forward to tax prep. In India, the financial year comes to an end in March. So it's not too late if you haven't used up all your tax benefits yet. You may be able to plan some investments and make the most of it. But get cracking.
Last but not the least, we have to reflect on whether or not you had adequate insurance this year. We hope that none of y'all had any medical emergencies for which you needed the insurance in the first place. But better safe than sorry, right? So it's really important for you to consider if you have adequate insurance coverage for you and your family as a whole.
Insurance prep for the year is something you have to look forward to. Now, once you've figured out whether you have adequate insurance or not, upgrade it if you didn't find it adequate. If your parents have retired and now are dependent on you, get them a top-up plan. If you've gained other dependents, like maybe you got married and now have a spouse, or maybe you had a child, get yourself some term life insurance. Also, it always helps to go over your policy and figure out if you're eligible for the no claims bonus this year.
So that's about it from us this year, guys.
Oh my God, what a year it has been. Thank you so much for all the love that you've given us.
Keep supporting us and we'll try and come up with more exciting and new content in the next year.
So happy new year everyone, and आप convince हो गए हैं हम और बोले